And welcome to another edition of NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing here on the Motor Racing Network. As always, my name is Chris Wilner from the Concord, North Carolina studios here at MRN. Kyle Rickey out there in Connecticut, and it was so good to see you this past weekend in 3D out at Stafford Motor Speedway, my first ever time, and we got to see quite the show out there as well. Appreciate the hospitality, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. I was excited to see you coming up the grandstands and hanging out with us in the tower all night. You were in for a great race program, great night weather-wise. So, yeah, you picked a perfect night to come. What'd you think?
I loved it. I thought the facility was state-of-the-art, especially all the new renovations. The double-hooked bar was obviously one of the favorites, but all the concession stands and the merchandise, and everybody was just super welcoming, which was awesome. You know, a couple people stopped, and I told them it was my first time there, and they're, you got to, stand over here and watch them during, the heat races or the qualifiers, and then go sit over here for the features. So, but it was cool to hang out with you guys in the broadcast booth, and obviously for all the folks that can't make it to Stafford, you can watch all season long on Flow, and that's kind of the perk of the merger with Flow this year and all the NASCAR routes is you get to watch Stafford each and every week, and it was really cool to see the behind the scenes of that. So had a lot of fun, but I'm ready to get back up there. Hopefully maybe next year I want to go for the Sizzler. What do you think?
That's the one to come to. If you can't come to any more this season, the Spring Sizzler next year is going to be pretty awesome. Planning's already underway.
I bet. Yeah, you guys don't rest over there, that's for sure. Well, we got a great show for you guys coming up. We got Sammy Smith, who just captured the big Redbud 400, one of the super late model marquee events of the year out at Anderson Speedway, but that's not all we're going to talk about. He's got a plenty full ARCA schedule, as well as, I think, 8 more races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs Racing. So Sammy Smith's doing a lot of racing here this summer, so we'll talk all about that coming up, as well as our debate segment and the race weekend calendar ahead. But Kyle, we had a long list of winners here this weekend. It was a busy weekend of racing, whether it was on the dirt or on the asphalt on Flow Racing. But we're going to kick things off with our top 7 winners of the week. And I have to start out with Anthony Nocella, because going from 4th to the win in the final lap is impressive. But boy, it was drama-filled out there in a big-time race out at New Hampshire in the Magic Mile.
Yeah, 4th to 1st in the final 150 yards
Something
of the race,
like
maybe.
Yeah.
Another spectacular race by the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour at New Hampshire. They never disappoint. Patrick Emmerling, Eric Goodale, they were racing for the lead. They wrecked coming off of turn 4, coming to the checkered flag. And Anthony Nocella, 4th to 1st, was able to sneak by them all on the inside and claim the win, his first on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. So pretty great race. The modifieds very rarely don't put on a good show at New Hampshire, but this was one for the ages.
Absolutely. I don't think anybody was sitting down those final 2 laps. They could sense something was going to happen. But for Anthony to win, too, in his family car, he's from Massachusetts, a low-budget team going up against the Eric Goodales, Patrick Emmerlings. Justin Bonsignor was up there in the top 5. That's got to be a confidence booster in itself and puts certainly his name on the map.
Absolutely. He doesn't run full-time on the tour, or has not in recent years, but this is maybe the boost that he and that team needed to maybe run more races, contend for more wins, because they always say once you win your first, the others come a bit easier. So we'll see if that holds true as he runs not only the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, but many of the other touring divisions and a lot of the open modified shows up here in the Northeast.
They've got a week off. Claremont is next on July 29th. And boy, the point shakeup, Kyle, with Ron Silk's wreck on lap number 28. I think he's got, less than a 10-point lead in the points. And the top 5 really are all separated by a good, decent chunk. But it could be interesting once we get to Claremont.
Yeah, over John McKennedy, who is second in points now, just 10 back. And how about Justin Bonsignor? Only 25 points back, 4th in points. Finished last, the first race of the year, Then came back and won, and then finished last again. A roller coaster start to the year, and we thought, all right, maybe 1 mulligan, he could come back, but probably not 2, but here he comes. So we'll see if the 51 team can win yet another title this year from some adversity to start the year.
Yeah, he said don't count him out, so we'll see. Justin Bonsignor in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, again, back in action July 29th at Claremont. Now, Kyle, our number 2 winners, the guy we're going to have on the show, and certainly one of the busiest race car drivers when it comes to some of the national stuff here this summer.
That's Sammy Smith. We'll talk to him here in a little bit. Winner, finally, he's only 18, winner of the Redbud 400, but he had competed in the race 2 prior times, finishing 3rd and 2nd. Great race, led a bunch of laps. In fact, he led all but 21 laps of the event. So congratulations to Sammy. He likes the longer races. We'll talk more with him about that. But Redbud 400, Anderson Speedway, perfect combination for Sammy to get that win, who's about to be very busy this coming weekend, going to one of the biggest racetracks that he'll probably ever run at Pocono.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pull double duty there with the ARCA Menard Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We'll talk to Sammy here coming up, like Kyle mentioned. Our coast-to-coast top 7 winner number 3 on the list. Got to go back to SRX here with one more to go this weekend. Tony Stewart, first repeat winner of the year, picks up his second win out at the dirt track out there at I-55 in Peevely. One of the coolest dirt tracks. If you haven't gotten to see a race there, definitely check it out when the World of Outlaws visits, as well as a lot of late model events. But he beats Marco Andretti again, and Marco's probably sick and tired of feeling like a bridesmaid, although he picked up the points lead after the weekend.
Third runner-up finish consecutively for Marco Andretti. You got to think that win is coming here in short order, and plus he ran well at Stafford Motor Speedway earlier in the season as well. So he's done well, but Tony finally getting that win at I-55, a racetrack that's eluded him when he ran there back in his USAC days, having to finish second one event. Then I think he was leading and ended up breaking late in the race in a Silver Crown race. So he always wanted to win there. Finally got that first checkered flag in what was a rough and tumble night for the SRX series.
Certainly was, but a tip of the cap to Kenny Schrader, the local hero who runs late models there all the time, and modifieds picked up a podium finish there, so good to see Ken back on the podium. All right, Kyle, Coast to Coast winner number 4 of our top 7. We go across the border.
Yeah, one of my favorite series, the NASCAR Pinty Series, back in action over the weekend in Toronto, running in conjunction with the Indy cars. Kevin Lacroix picking up the race win, holding off former multi-time series champion Andrew Ranger, his 16th career win, and now becomes the newest point leader. So congratulations to Kevin picking up that race win on the streets of Toronto. The Pinty Series back in action at Edmonton here in this coming weekend on Saturday night.
Absolutely, and it's so cool to see those cars out on the streets of Toronto. It was an IndyCar doubleheader weekend as well, so really cool to see those series kind of join together. And it was good to be back in Toronto. It's been a couple years due to the COVID-19 outbreak, so really cool to see them back in action out there at Toronto. All right, Coast to Coast top 7, number 5. I'm going to go with BJ Tidrick, who won his second consecutive Montana 200 at Mission Valley Super Oval. We mentioned Daniel Dye was going to be in attendance with Mark Martin as his crew chief. What a pairing that was. And Daniel Dye almost stole the thing, was up running as high as second before a dead battery cost him the win at the end of the race. But really cool for BJ to be out there on the national stage, one of the biggest late model races out there in the West, and he's the first driver to go back-to-back since 2010. So a really cool stat for BJ. Congratulations to him. Didn't get to watch most of the race. There was just so much else going on, but did get to flip to at the end, and he was pretty emotional Victory Lane, which was really cool.
Yeah, one of the biggest events in that part of the country. So, and we've talked about it for a couple of weeks now, leading up to the Montana 200. So congratulations to BJ picking up the race win. How about we do a pair of winners for number 6?
Let's do it.
We talked about the busy race weekend up here, especially in New England, with Stafford in action, all the action at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Well, the Pro All-Star Series, they were in action for a pair of 150 lappers at the White Mountain Motorsports Park. DJ Shaw and Johnny Clark, 2 drivers that have been around a very long time in full-body racing up here in New England, claiming those wins on Saturday night. For Shaw, his 6th career win. Clark second and first on the weekend, perhaps the most consistent. What was a very good field for the Pro All-Star Series. So congratulations to both DJ and Johnny on picking up those checkered flags.
Absolutely. What a job by those 2 drivers. And we'll round out our coast-to-coast top 7. Number 7 winner of the week, I'm going to go with Casey Call, who won his first career Granite State Pro Stock win at Lee USA, $10,000. But to even beat it, he beat a guy who just won his first NASCAR Cup Series race back at Road America, and I'm talking about Tyler Reddick, who was in the field, went back to his roots running a late model or a pro stock, and he got the job done over Tyler Reddick. So Casey Call, tip of the cap to you, sir. Excellent job in the Keen Parts 150. Derek Nealon, which is kind of cool as Tyler Reddick's spotter on the Cup side actually entered as a driver as well. And those two went head to head with Derek coming out with the top 10. So kind of cool for the spotter to get to race against his driver on the grassroots level. And it's certainly a really great crowd, a really great field of cars.
Told you it was a big weekend of racing up here.
I know.
White Mountain,
and that's not even a tip of the iceberg either. There was so much else going on the local level as well. So congratulations to all of our winners. Absolutely well deserving. All right. Shout outs of the week, Kyle. We always try to pick out ones that deserve an extra little shout out for the week. And again, it's so hard to pick just one over the national level of racers and local level racers, but because I was there in person, I think it's fitting that I go with David Arute, who picked up the Senators Cup out there at your home, Stafford Motor Speedway in the Senators Cup. What a race as well, as, I mean, they were just jockeying for position throughout the night there at Stafford, but David Arute, obviously family lineage with Stafford Motor Speedway, but you could tell how much that one meant to him, especially there at Stafford.
It did, and it's his 5th win in a calendar year. It took him 4 years to get his first win last September. He then won the season finale in October and has already picked up 3 wins this season. You mentioned a great race. Ronnie Williams, a former 2-time champion of the division, was up there among the top 3. Mike Christopher Jr. had his best run of the year. Todd Owen, the current point leader, was among the leaders. One driver that was not, Keith Rocco, had a big, vicious hit in turn number 1, but hopefully he's back together, ready to go this week. But overall, a great race, and congratulations to David, who I believe gets his second shout out in 3 weeks here on the show, because
that's pretty good.
I gave him a shout out a couple weeks ago.
I know we're not biased. It's certainly deserving, absolutely. And then the second one I had was Jason Corliss, and he won the Vermont Governor's Cup up there at Thunder Road, a track that another one on my bucket list I want to go see out at our colleague Dave Moody's neck of the woods out there in Vermont. And it was really cool for him because, speaking of Cup Series drivers that are coming down to the roots to try to run in more late model events, Brad Keselowski, first time in a late model in probably almost a decade, was out there taking part at Thunder Road as well, and he was able to pick up the win. Jason Corliss, part of the ACT Tour with the late models, so really good job by him. Him and Casey Call as 2 drivers who kind of stuck it to the Cup Series guys this weekend. Who's your shout out?
Absolutely. I like, I'm going to go with a national NASCAR driver, okay. Corey LaJoie. Yes. Running in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour race last Friday, running among the leaders the entire day, and finishing with a top 10 finish. I believe he crossed the line in the 7th spot. So congratulations to Corey, and good for Corey to move into the modifieds. I know he has an interest. Obviously, his family has come from modified racing up here in New England. Grandfather Don LaJoie, obviously Dad Randy LaJoie, have found so much success in open wheel racing in this part of the country. And now Corey, who is a former front row sitter for the Spring Sizzler at Stafford many, many years ago, back in an open wheel car last weekend and running well with some of the big dogs of the tour, including Ryan Preece, who he often races on the weekends as well in NASCAR world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not easy just to jump in a modified and go race, especially out at New Hampshire, one of the tougher tracks that they race on just because of how big and how narrow the corners are. But really cool to see the success he's had. And I think he's got a lot of pep in his step too. After that Atlanta where he almost won his first Cup race there with Chase Elliott, I think he's got a little pep in his step, and it was really cool to see him take part in that modified event. Awesome. So those are our shout outs of the week. If you've got one that maybe we should include on the show, don't forget when we post this show, write in the comments or tweet at us at NASCAR Coast to Coast who you think should be a shout out of the week. All right, Kyle, we've got one debate topic, and in our go or no go segment, it always seems to come back to aggression and late race contact, but Bowman Gray Stadium, obviously notorious. They don't call it the Madhouse for nothing. Notorious for the old bump and runs. Notorious for the fisticuffs, the fights. But did it go too far this weekend? We had one driver, a little bit upset, I should say. That's really a soft term to use. But used his car as a weapon and sought out another driver, not once but twice, before they came to a stop in the infield. And then obviously all melee ensued. Are we going too far with using cars as weapons at Bowman Gray? Again, I know it's an entertainment factor, folks paying top dollar to go see races, but is it getting too much?
It's certainly a different world at Bowman Gray Stadium. It has always been a different mentality at Bowman Gray Stadium. I think last Saturday night was a little much. I mean, he not only cleaned them out, but I mean, there was some big time damage there. for two drivers that probably spent all week working on those cars. My biggest fear is the infield officials that are running toward these cars and these drivers. I'm not sure I would do that, knowing that there are two very upset drivers behind the wheel of these two cars. But, I guess it's in their job description to diffuse the situation or to try to defuse the situation. And I don't want to see an official get hurt or worse. And I feel that we're getting close to that. And then what?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think it comes to a fact that maybe do racetracks start stepping in? Bowman Gray.
But they do, I think, in most places.
Right.
They do.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Not there.
No, they don't. Or they step in when it's too late and they've got police, and law enforcement having to get involved. At that point, it's already escalated. The damage has been done. It's funny. We talk about this subject, and it's going to be something that gets talked about all summer long, because that's not the last time we're going to see a fight or something like that at Bowman Gray. But, at the Chili Bowl and the Tulsa Shootout this year, race director Matt Ward kind of changed his approach and said, listen, if you guys want to go at it and settle the dispute, you guys can pull your cars down the front straightaway, come to a stop, and we won't intervene until either of you hits the dirt. And then we'll come in and separate you two. Do not use your car as a weapon. Do not endanger the officials. Do not do that. But you know what? If you want to put on an entertainment show for the fans and settle it, then by all means, pull it on the front straightaway so everybody can see, including our TV cameras. So kind of an interesting fact, because I think that's the part that bugs me, is using your car as a weapon, because at that point, those cars will win 100% of the time against any official or any person that are down there in the infield. And certainly I don't want to see somebody get hurt for them to change the rules. So interesting. But nevertheless, that's the Madhouse. And, we've talked to drivers from there, and they say that's what you expect. And so, that's is what it is, I guess.
It is. But if that happens, and to your point a bit ago, if that happens at most other racetracks in this country, those drivers are not welcome back. So it'll be interesting to see if they're in the field on Saturday night and if it maybe continues Saturday night. But I just don't want to see somebody get hurt. And I think that's where it's escalating toward.
I'm glad we agree on safety. And if you don't know what we're talking about, head on over to Flow Racing. They've got the full replay of Bowman Gray this past weekend. And you'll see it for yourself, and you can come to judgment for sure about what you think. All right, well, coming up next, we've got Sammy Smith, the big winner of the Redbud 400 out at Anderson. We'll talk all things late models, plus his success in the ARCA Menard Series, both the East as he goes for a back-to-back championship, but also in the National Series after 2 wins this summer. Right after he turned 18 years old. Yeah, what were you doing when you were 18? Mine was certainly not racing ARCA. So we'll talk to Sammy as well as on his NASCAR Xfinity Series ventures coming up on the flip side of the break here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Wheel and Modified Tour, ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on FlowRacing.com. Subscribe today. And welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Flow Racing. Now joining us via Zoom, it is the driver pulling double duty this weekend, coming up in Pocono, but he picked up a big win in the Redbud 400 this past weekend. We're talking Sammy Smith. Congratulations. It's been a crazy year for you, but where does this marquee late model win rank up in your list of accomplishments so far this year?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I feel like it's probably pretty high. I think there's probably 5 or 6, high super late model races up there that I feel like anyone that runs super late models wants to really win. And I feel like Redbud is probably one of them on the list. So, it was super cool to win that race. I've been trying the last 2 years. I finished 3rd the first year I ran it, and then we finished 2nd last year. And then, we were able to win this year. So it's really cool to, win it. A lot of good guys have won it, and hopefully we can just keep this momentum going in on the super side. I feel like, I've been kind of getting my butt kicked this year by Byron, but, it's been really good working with him. It's been a ton of help, try to, get us better, get me better. So, it's been fun working with him and ready to go to IRP next week.
So 3 races or 3 years in this race, all podium finishes. What do you like about those type of race cars, super late models on that racetrack?
Yeah, I think it's honestly really not really the racetrack. I think I just like longer races in general, the super late model races that are long. kind of Winchester 400 All-American, the Derby. I like the longer races, and I feel like it really clicks with me and my crew chief Bond. So he's really good, longer races, making good calls with the car and having good strategy. So, I think it really just plays all in the favor. Anderson's probably one of my favorite super late model tracks as well. So just a fun, it was a hot race for sure. But we got through it and was able to dominate the race. And I think we led 350 something laps or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but it was a dominating performance.
379.
Yeah, that's the official number. Give yourself a few extra laps here. You mentioned dominating, though. Donnie Wilson, I mean, everything that he's touched this year with that team has turned into race wins, whether it was William Byron or yourself. What's it like running for a guy like Donnie in that organization, especially when you're kind of bouncing in and out of the super late model and running, Xfinity stuff and ARCA stuff, and just how easy is it for you to just jump right in?
Yeah, I started with Donnie last year, and it's been honestly amazing. I love working with Donnie, Bond, all the guys on the team. Makes it super fun to go to the racetrack and obviously have a shot to win every single weekend. We get to the track, and it's been good. With I think Wilson led the 379. I did lead the other ones. The other Wilson cars led, so that was good. And it's a team performance, and all the other drivers that help race, get the cars better. It's been fun working with everybody, and looking forward to I think I have 5 more, so should be fun.
That was going to be my next question, is before we talk about ARCA and some of the other stuff coming up for you on the bigger tracks, what's up next for the late models?
Yeah, we run IRP next week with the ARCA and trucks too, so it should be fun. And I've been there in a pro late model probably 2 years ago when I first started, and I think we're going to run the Blizzard race, and then I think Nashville, and then the Derby. So I love running super late models. I really enjoy it, and hopefully we can go keep winning.
But of course, that's not all that we're talking about this season. It's also your big, kind of breakout season, not only on the ARCA East, trying to go back to back in championships, but on the national level. I mean, you turned 18 in June, so now you can officially run, all the bigger tracks, but then you exploded with 2 straight wins, at Berlin and Elko. I mean, what's this season been like, and do you feel like where you're at as a driver is where you want to be at this point in your career now that you're taking the next step?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a couple races throughout the year where we didn't win. I think was out of my control and the guys' control. We had some issues, but we still finished strong. It's just that little bit we needed to get the win. We had issues, and I feel like we should have. We had a chance to win every single ARC race this year, and that's really all I can ask for. And we put ourselves in a position to do that, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, for sure, I think we've won 5 or 6 ARC races with the East as well. So it's been good, and hopefully we can continue the momentum this weekend in Pocono.
Mentioned Pocono Raceway. The ARCA Series kicks off the busy race weekend there on Friday. How do you, as a young 18-year-old, prepare to go to Pocono for the first time? Maybe one of the most unique racetracks you'll ever see. 3 different length straightaways, 3 different corners. A whole lot of learning going to go into this weekend for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've had about 10 hours of sim time, and with the ARCA car and Xfinity car, just a lot to try to prepare for this. It'll be my first, I guess, big track for both cars, and it'll be a learning experience. But I feel, really confident. I feel like I've done a lot of homework to know what I need to do. We test actually there tomorrow in the ARCA car, so that'll help. I think get kind of that track sensation feeling before this our Xfinity race. But obviously we still have Friday, so I feel Ty was good there the last 2 years, and I feel confident in all my guys. It should be fun.
You mentioned sim time, but it's funny. We talked to Josh Berry, when he kind of made the jump from late models to running Xfinity. He said it's actually almost like a little bit easier. Things slow down a little bit. Is that something you're going to kind of expect? I mean, obviously the speed is a little bit greater when you run these bigger tracks, but the mechanics of it, how much does the super late model and late model stuff help out when you go to bigger tracks?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think the super it has a lot of horsepower, especially at short tracks. The lower grip short track, just kind of a lot of management. But I think a little bit, just kind of, obviously it's going to be way different from what I've ever run and what I have been running. So I'm excited to get there, and obviously Pocono is probably one of the coolest tracks that has cool trophies. So I'm going to go get 2 of the Eagles. That's my goal this weekend.
Chris mentioned a moment ago the ARCA Menards East back-to-back, running for back-to-back series championships. A bit of a break in that schedule now, but where does that stack up on your priority list? I feel like the list is getting longer and longer. You're running NASCAR national races now. You have ARCA national events, super late model events. Where does trying to win that second consecutive ARCA East title rank as we're kind of in this little bit of a lull in that schedule now?
Yeah, I think it's definitely up there. I feel like there's obviously other things on my priority list. Anything, obviously winning is good, but I think if you can just go to the racetrack and win every week, especially on the East, I feel like we've done that. And then we have 2 more races to go. I think we have like a 27-point lead. So I feel, we just need to go Milwaukee and go win that one too. And hopefully just go into Bristol and try to win that too. And then obviously the showdown short track challenge. I think we're leading that one too by a lot of points too. So just got to be consistent. And then kind of my goal is just win races. And then that's kind of just an added on bonus to the good year we've been having. But, my goal is just keep trying to learn as much as I can and then try to apply that to the Xfinity car and go get good runs out of there.
And you mentioned points. Again, this is a far-fetched idea, but really it's not. You're 164 points out of the lead in the ARCA Menards national standings, and you missed the first 4 races. I mean, is that kind of in the back of your head? Like, hey, with 11 races to go, if I can, knock off some solid points runs and maybe grab a couple more wins, that you could be in the hunt for that thing at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think they do. ARCA does a thing where if the first 4 races, or if you miss one or more than 4 races, you get you miss the points because you get bonus points. So I don't think that's a realistic goal at this point, but it really doesn't matter to me. I just want to go win as many rest of the races as I can, and I feel like if we did run all the races, we would probably be the favorite to win the championship, but it didn't work out with the age and stuff. So we just got to go out and do what we can control and go try to win races.
And my final question for you revolves around the Xfinity Series. What's your schedule look like going forward there as we now head into the summer months?
Yeah, I have 8 more races left. So different tracks, Michigan, short tracks, stuff like that. So it'll be different. I think most of them I'll run the ARCA car before the Xfinity race like we are this weekend. So that should help. I think it helps get the track sensation feeling out for new track, but you get in the Xfinity car and it's 180 degrees from the ARCA car. So that's another thing to learn, but it definitely helps, get me track time. And I enjoy running both of them at the same time. So it should be fun.
And speaking of learning, how do you prepare, especially like on the ARCA side? We still got dirt tracks coming up. We've got another road course coming up. Obviously, you ran Mid-Ohio, and you got a little taste of the wet too, which was pretty cool. But I mean, how does that all challenge you just when you're trying to prepare, especially on the dirt, doing something that you're not really accustomed to doing?
Yeah, I think Mid-Ohio was a good example. I've never raced in the rain, and that was only I think that was my 3rd road course race ever. So I think it took me a second to get used to the rain and try to figure it out. And by the halfway point of the race, we were there contending for the win. And obviously I feel like we should have won that one too, but stuff happens. But yeah, answer your question. Yeah, I think, just the dirt tracks coming up and then a couple more road courses. I think, it should be fun experience to learn on, and I'm excited for it.
And then finally for me, obviously this year with everything that you're doing, whether it's the Xfinity side, ARCA, or the late model stuff, what's the goal? I mean, what is success for you at the end of this year, looking forward to 2023? Is it, grabbing as many race wins, and is Xfinity the goal full time next year, or are those conversations not quite there yet?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure yet. I got a good management team that deals with all that. And, my goal is the ARCA race on Friday, and then the Xfinity race on Saturday. But yeah, just try to learn as much as I can. And obviously, goals to win every single time you show up to the racetrack. But I feel like, the races we haven't won this year in the ARCA I've learned 2 or 3 good, solid, I feel like lessons out of it. If that's kind of just across the board on everything, but it's been, even when you don't win, I feel like you learn more when you don't win, and when you do win, you still learn some. But the days you lose, I feel like you learn more, and it makes you want to go win even more. So we, hopefully go dominate Pocono.
Awesome. Well, best of luck. Safe travels up there, and we'll look forward to seeing you in action this weekend up at Pocono.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Sammy Smith, driver of the KBM Toyota in the ARCA Menard Series. Just captured the Redbud 400 in the super late model. Busy guy this time of year. Appreciate your time, and best of luck.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
All right, coming up, we've got the calendar next on NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Wheel and Modified Tour, ARCA Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on flowracing.com. Subscribe today. Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing. Just heard from the driver Sammy Smith after the big Redbud 400 win. Kyle, certainly pretty cool for an 18-year-old to have all these different opportunities and yet manage them and finding success in all of them as well, because I only think it's a matter of time before he gets an Xfinity win at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, he not only does he have all these opportunities and all these different style race cars at all these different levels of the sport, but he's also making the best of them, winning seemingly more times than not. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do at Pocono this weekend and how he adapts to these big racetracks. I mean, that's been key for some of these younger drivers that, got comfortable on the bull rings of the country and in some of these short track divisions. But it's a different world when you get up, to 150, 170 miles per hour at some of these speedways that we see nationally across the country each and every week. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts as he gets more and more comfortable and more seat time.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of adjustments, big news this week for one of the current points leader in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts national point standings, Lane Riggs. We talk about him, how much success he's had on the short tracks across America, including South Boston Speedway. But how about this news? Running a truck for Halmar Friesen at IRP, making his NASCAR Camping World Truck Series debut next week at IRP. Super cool opportunity. And again, IRP, a place pretty much replicate some of the short tracks he's used to winning on. So I think he could find some success here next week.
Love IRP. Love seeing Lane teamed up with Stuart Friesen and his race team. He's going to be one to watch. And I hear he may not be the only one on the entry list making their debut next week at IRP. So should be interesting to see that event next week. Can't wait to see the trucks back there. It's been far too long. One of the great short tracks of this country.
Absolutely. So stay tuned as we'll keep an eye on the entry list for next week's show as we preview Indianapolis Raceway Park. All right, speaking of the schedule, we're going to talk about this weekend. Lots going on, especially on the local level. But Kyle, we're going to venture up to Long Pond, Pennsylvania for ARCA Menard Series, kicking off a busy triple-header weekend for the NASCAR National Series races out at Pocono, the Tricky Triangle. And like we mentioned at the top of the show, Pocono hosting ARCA, the big 2.5-mile racetrack. Friday night should be a good one.
It's been a tradition ever since there's been Pocono, there's been ARCA, whether it be on a single race weekend like this weekend or back when NASCAR ran their 2 different weekends. The ARCA Menard Series has always been a part of race weekends at Pocono. The General Tire delivers 200 at the Pocono Raceway, 6:30 Friday evening. Again, looking at the entry list, a bit of a deeper field than what we saw there a year ago, including Sammy Smith, who we just talked to a little bit ago. So can't wait to kick off the race weekend with the ARCA Series under the evening skies, 6:30 Friday evening at the Pocono Raceway.
And you can listen to it on the Motor Racing Network. We'll have all coverage all weekend long. And speaking of how tight this ARCA Menards field is, how about the points? 8 points separating the top 3. That's Raja Caruth, who has 0 wins on the year. Nick Sanchez has 2, and then Daniel Dye, who's missed out on a couple, but he's right there in third. So the points continue to get tightened each and every time these cars hit the track, and certainly things could change here at Pocono. You mentioned it's a big track. I think it kind of evens the playing field a little bit for some of these other teams that show up to some of the bigger races, whether it's Talladega or like here at Pocono. So should be fun. And then, Brandon Jones is entered too. Don't forget, he's spoiled the party a couple times this year.
He has. Every time he has entered, I believe he has won, including recently at the Iowa Speedway. So I expect him to be a contender, but I don't think it's going to be an easy walk away like it has been the last 2 races that he has entered for Brandon. I think he's going to have some tough competition in the form of our guest of a few minutes ago with Sammy Smith.
Absolutely. Once again, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on MRN on Friday night. Now, speaking of NASCAR, the NASCAR Pinty Series back and at it. Round number 6 already of the season, so they're kind of in their full swing of 2022. Edmonton International Raceway in the Bayer 300, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, again on Flow Racing, something that's so cool. We can watch Pinties each and every week on Flow. Kyle, again, points. We mentioned it when we went over our top 7 winners. It's Kevin Lacroix right now, but certainly things can change.
Yeah, Kevin Lacroix, the championship point leader with 2 wins, but don't count out the likes of Andrew Ranger and LP Dumoulin, 2 other drivers that have had very strong starts to the season. So love Edmonton International Raceway, and the NASCAR Pinty Series always put on a good show when they go there.
They certainly do. All right, let's go down to late model action here this weekend on the national level. We talked about the Red Bud 400 coming in last weekend. It's the second leg of the Virginia Triple Crown. It's the Hampton Heat 200 at Langley. Oh, what a cool racetrack it is for late models. Langley is. If you can't make it, watch it 6 p.m. Saturday on Flow Racing. Hermie Sadler's going to be in the booth on Flow, so that's cool in itself. But this is a marquee event, especially out here, in the southeast, and really cool racetrack in Langley that's going to have a loaded field going for that Triple Crown. Corey Heim picked up the first win at South Boston, but he was wrecked for the checkers, so I can't imagine what's going to happen on Saturday night at Langley.
Hopefully it's a bit cleaner than the last time they raced at South Boston. I think 43 cars took the green flag, and all 43 of them received damage, either during the race or, as you mentioned, after the race, coming to the checkered flag when the leaders crashed going into turn 1 at the stripe. Hopefully a bit cleaner, although this hot weather, heated tempers.
Yep.
Tune in. It's going to be a great show. Second leg of 3, obviously, for the Virginia Triple Crown, with the third coming up later this summer at the Martinsville Speedway in September.
That's right, and Jacob Borst leads that Triple Crown point standing, so those 3 races, marquee races, so far he's got the points lead going into Saturday night. All right, how about Southern Super Series? Probably one of the hottest series in the South right now when it comes to super late models. When you get Bubba Pollard each and every week that they race, Stephen Nasse, they're back at it. Michael Hine just entered as well for the Summer Sizzler 75 out at Five Flags Speedway, one of the marquee, obviously, short tracks across the country. And Kyle, the Southern Super Series has just been phenomenal this year. It's really hard to pick a winner at this point of the season.
It is. Hunter Robbins, I think, has done well in that series as well. You mentioned Bubba Pollard, always strong when he enters. Going to be a good show. Great show. One of my favorite racetracks, Five Flags Speedway this weekend.
All right, let's talk about USAC, but on the pavement. Silver Crowns, the legendary champ cars in the USAC National Series, they're out at Winchester Speedway, one of the coolest and most badass tracks in North America when it comes to just its insane 37 degrees of banking. If you ever get a chance to watch an open wheel Silver Crown or midget around there, it's absolutely insane. Obviously, host of the Winchester 400 when it comes to late models, but that's going to be on Thursday night, today actually, when the show airs, 5 o'clock on Flow. Kyle, have you ever been down to Winchester and stood and looked at the banking? It's literally makes Daytona look like a flat track.
I have not, but I have heard that it's quite the sight to see. This reminds me of the old Thursday Night Thunder days, back when ESPN would come on the air on Thursday nights from either IRP or Winchester or Salem. I guess those were the 3 regular stops on the old Thursday Night Thunder series, and it will be interesting to see what happens tonight at Winchester. Can Bobby Santos do it again on pavement? He seems like he's been one of the guys to beat.
Absolutely, yeah. He's red hot right now, coming off IRP, sweeping those. You have Cody Swanson's going to be in the field, obviously one of the legendary asphalt short track drivers, so should be a good show coming up tonight on Flow. And speaking of Flow and speaking of USAC, we're going to go to the dirt because it's Indiana Sprint Week, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, do yourself a favor and tune in starting on Friday night at Gas City. It's 8 races and 7 nights. It's an incredible display of non-wing sprint car racing on the dirt across Indiana. It's been around for years, and some of the most iconic people have in dirt track racing, or really in short track racing in general, have won races. Brian Clausen, we mentioned Levi Jones, who now is competition director. So pretty cool stuff. Again, Friday night on Flow. Kyle, you're a big USAC fan, especially when it comes to the dirt midget stuff. Definitely need to check that out this weekend.
I love the midgets. I love the sprint cars, and I love these weeks, whether it be in Pennsylvania, whether it be in Indiana. what I don't like is Mother Nature. I feel like you have these 3, 4, 5, 6 night events, but we haven't really had them this year. They've all been interrupted by Mother Nature, at least 1 or 2 nights of them. So hopefully Mother Nature cooperates and we can get a full Indiana Sprint weekend this coming weekend.
Absolutely. And I'd be remiss to not mention we're thinking of the East family after the loss of Bobby East this past weekend. A legendary shoe when it came to driving anything open wheel, but even had some starts in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series as well as the Xfinity Series, passing away at the age of 37. Certainly thinking of Bobby East and his family at this time. All right, Kyle, a lot of flow local racing going on. I know Stafford's on the docket. What should we be looking for this weekend when it comes to short track racing, NASCAR grassroots style on Flow?
God, it's everywhere, as it is every weekend. That's what I love about Flow Racing. You also have Granby and Evergreen on Friday night. Saturday, Riverhead Raceway back in action on Long Island with their regular program, the Super Modifieds, at their home at the Oswego Speedway in New York. Fonda has a regular program on dirt. You have Langley and Berlin, Hickory, Bowman Gray's back at it, Meridian, All-American, Alaska Raceway Park, and so much more. So a lot of great racing coast to coast around this country. And, it's amazing to sit there on a Friday or Saturday night and flip through Flow and just see the options. It's hard to keep up when you have it all coming into your living room. Sometimes you have, I have 2, 3, 4 screens going at once between the midget stuff and the sprint car stuff, the modifieds, and see what's going on at Jeff Striegel's track at Berlin Raceway. So many options, but pretty cool era that we're living in right now with Flow.
Certainly is. And then for both of us that are going to be on the road this weekend with NASCAR out at Pocono, we can just, as soon as we're done off the air, pull up our phone while we're in the car back to the hotel, get to the hotel, fire up the computer, and catch up on everything NASCAR Roots Racing. So really cool stuff. Well, Kyle, I will see you in Long Pond, Pennsylvania this weekend. Safe travels, my friend.
It's like 3 weeks in a row we're together.
I know. I mean, you're going to get sick of me at this point. Well, you may already be. Yes. We'll see. Anyways, we'll see you up there. Safe travels. And as always, thank you folks for tuning in to NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing. My name is Chris Wilner from all of us here at MRN. Enjoy your weekend of racing. And of course, we'll talk about it all on next week's episode. You're watching NASCAR Coast to Coast presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. Catch the Wheel and Modified Tour, ARC Menard Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Tour races all season long on FlowRacing.com. Subscribe today.